So give us your understanding, because this subsidies on pilgrimage, how much of an impact, or what do you make of that kind of gesture of the government on that kind of endeavor?
Yes, I think I heard the story about the 90 billion being used to subsidize the Hajj, the pilgrimage. And my first reaction was that I hope it's not true. But not because I have anything against a singular item called pilgrimage, but because of the wider implication in terms of economy is in deep trouble. The government is trying to convince people that they inherited a difficult economy and that they are trying to correct the mistakes of the past. And it gets very worrying when, as you say, you are trying to correct the mistakes of the past. Every now and again, you repeat another mistake of the past, thereby sending a conflicting signal that perhaps you're not serious about trying to correct all past mistakes. So it's like saying, as soon as investors and everybody is about to take them very seriously, they do something else that causes everybody to worry. And this is not the first item. So it's one in a series. That's why I said we're not just discussing, it's just the latest one. And we remember the SUVs that they spent a fortune on buying luxury SUVs. You remember the Jamboree trip to New York, the Jamboree trip to Dubai, supplementary budgets last year that came out with items that nobody understood why they were a priority. So I'm just saying it's part of a trend. So this is the latest one, and it's important that when these things come out, that people come out and criticize and react, so that hopefully this kind of nonsense will stop very soon.
Well, when we wonder, Nigeria is a religious country, when we wonder, and I'll get some statistics out on how much Nigeria spend on religious pilgrimage, both to Jerusalem or to some of those who would go to Turkey and those who will go to Saudi Arabia and the rest part of the world for religious purposes. And we know government all over the world spend, they help citizens who cannot afford some things in their lives. And that's the reason why subsidies are being introduced for government to help and cushion the effect of the cost of aspect of the lives and the economy of the citizen. Are you saying that government should not have any business in subsidizing religious pilgrimage?
Yes, look, I agree. Let me just make it very, very clear. No politics to nobody. I understand a little bit about religion. I don't know of any religion that says that the person who cannot afford it should go on the pilgrimage. There is no religion that can prescribe that. So, so what you expect is that only people who can afford something should even dream of going on the privilege. So how does the issue of subsidy come in? If you can't afford it, you stay at home and pray to the Almighty, and He'll probably answer your prayers equally well. And this is not about helping the poor, because the kind of people who can afford to even dream of going for pilgrimage in 2024 invariably are middle class or upper middle class. So I can even understand if you are saying you want to subsidize the very poor in terms of making sure they have food to eat or they have education for their children, something that you can say is vital and futuristic, or health, subsidize them or give them health care. Well, this is basically subsidizing the middle class and upper middle class, who probably are only getting this subsidy because they have political clout. So the point I'm making, you cannot rob the poor in Nigeria to reward the middle class and upper middle class in the name of religion. I think we're all that stupid. We're not.
I mean, we see this happen every other time. Federal lawmakers, state lawmakers, state governments. In fact, this is somewhat a culture for people to be gathered and being sponsored for different kinds of pilgrimage. It's become more or less part and parcel of governance. It's become more or less a duty of politicians to the citizens of Nigeria. And then, of course, we have the pilgrimage boards, the different religions. So, I mean, for you, and if you look at all the other crimes, are you saying that this is peculiar to Nigeria? And do you think that it's harmful to our economy?
I didn't hear you very well, but I think let me make a comment that I think is tangential to the words that I think I heard. Look, I'm saying that this is not about religion, really, it's about politics. We are mixing religion and politics. So what do you expect the Christians now to do? Say they want their own share of this subsidy. How are you going to refuse them? This is all about politics. Perhaps somebody feels that, oh, this is time for me to score some cheap political points vis-a-vis future election support. So you now come and almost send wrong signals about our economy at the time when our economy is in deep trouble. When I say deep trouble, really deep trouble, we need to dig ourselves out of a hole. And our best efforts, or the best method to dig ourselves out of a hole, is to overall behave in a manner that is consistent and send signals to the whole world, including Nigerians at home, that look, this government is serious. We're trying to curb waste. We're trying to correct all past mistakes. So each time you turn around and fiddle something like this significant and basically throw away 90 billion, what you're doing is that you scored an own goal. You've set back the process by which investors and others can take you seriously and begin to think, let's take a bet on Nigeria. So that's why, for me, it's not about just religion and pilgrimage. It is a setback for the economy by sending the wrong signals. And the government should stop sending wrong signals. I'm not willing to give them credit and pretend that, oh, it's a brand new government. They came in May last year. They have nothing to do with the previous APC government. And show us that you're different by upholding higher standards. That is what makes the difference.
In 2023, there was a report released that about 4,771 persons went on religious pilgrimage in Nigeria. And the Punch reported at that time that in that figure, the governors in the different states of the Federation spent about 2.53 billion to sponsor Christian pilgrims and 7.35 billion on their Muslim counterparts, Muslim pilgrims. In 2022, 1.5 billion was spent on the sponsorship of Christian pilgrims, and 3.403 billion was the sponsored fee for Muslim pilgrims on Hajj. And so not only the federal government has this kind of culture or this sort of obligation, but state governments too.
I'm not hearing you pretty well. I think we have a sound problem, but I heard you mentioning some figures. I don't know if you can repeat the question, but I think I couldn't make out what you were saying.
Okay, let me quickly go over it. There was a report last year which showed that governments in the different states of the Federation had sponsored, about 13 of them actually, had spent about 14 billion naira to sponsor about 4,771 persons. That in 2023. In 2022, the similar thing was done by the state government. They have spent on both Christians and Muslim pilgrimage. And these are state governments alone. I'm just trying to put out some figures to say, look, federal government on its own is doing that, and state governments across board are also doing the same, both Christian and Muslims.
If I think I heard what you said, you're trying to make out like you spent some money like this before at state government level and also at federal level or something like that. But let me just make it very clear. I'm not concerned about what has happened before. Well, it is the wrong things we did before that put us in our present predicament. So I'm concerned about a government that claims it's a corrective government, behaving like a corrective government and leading by example. And I'm concerned particularly at the federal level, because it's the federal government that sends a signal that states can follow or copy from. And everything that we heard about this 90 billion earmarked for the Hajj subsidy, runs counter to the overall message the government has been trying to send on the economy, and its one attempt to correct the ills of the past. I think enough said.
The fact that, this is not an only federal government kind of culture, but I was asking, does this sponsoring of pilgrimage, does it have some kind of harm or danger for our economy?
Yes, I think, if you can hear me, I think I was trying to explain that the danger it has is that, in my opinion, it delays the type of economic recovery we're looking for. And let me explain, because it's about policy inconsistency. What investors are looking for before coming to plow back the resources to reactivate the economy is policy consistency. The government showing them that they are doing all the right things, putting in place the right policies, right coordination between fiscal and monetary policy. As we are coordinating fiscal and monetary policy, all of a sudden we hear one wild directive coming out. It cannot be from central bank because they don't have authority. It cannot even be from Ministry of Finance by themselves, because the budget is something that's a political product that comes out of the legislature and the executive. So who is coming out suddenly to subsidize Hajj at this time in 2024? So basically what you're doing is that the damage to the economy is that the jury is still out. Many people are trying to wait and see whether this government is serious, whether Nigeria has turned the corner, whether Nigeria is serious. Each time you do these things, you destroy confidence and make them believe that these guys have not changed. They are just as responsible as some in the past. And we want to improve. This is not about politics or political parties. I want to see every government in Nigeria better than the previous one, and significantly so. And we have to challenge things like this when they come out and make them in the board, so that the next time anybody is thinking about this sort of thing at federal or state level, we expect citizens to come out and challenge them.
Let me get you to the nature of the Naira. Are you worried about what is happening to the Naira? For some weeks, it looked like Naira appreciated against the dollar and was doing very well in the parallel market. In the last few days, it's been doing badly. What are your biggest fears about the undulating nature and the dancing of the Naira, a bad dance and a poor performance it has had in the past few days, Mr. Peterside?
You know, Shane, I'll tell you the gospel truth. If you go back to when the government came out to stop the destructive multiple exchange rates, we all knew the Naira had to depreciate. Because what we had before was a joke. The former CBN governor and the last government fixed the Naira at an artificial level. They didn't meet the demand for dollars. They only gave their friends at a false exchange rate. So people started talking, experts were talking, saying things like, oh, the Naira is undervalued, it will stabilize at 700 Naira. I told them they were joking. 800 Naira, I said they were joking. People are not looking at the quantity of Naira that the previous government created or printed. Personally, I expected the market initially to stabilize around 1,500 Naira to a dollar. I told people to so. The central bank governor knows my views that I expect the Naira today at best to stabilize between 1,300 and 1,400 Naira to a dollar. You don't have to agree with me, but I tell you what, if you honestly think that the correct exchange rate is 1,000 Naira to $1, I will buy your dollars from you. Put your money where your mouth is. So the point I'm making is that the exchange rate problem, I'll be fair to this government, they inherited a problem. And what they've been doing is trying to manage it. And initially, I would have thought, first get some stability around 1,300, 1,400. Don't be in a hurry to appreciate the exchange rate, going to sell dollars to build the exchange at 1,100, 1,050. Those guys just turn around and sell it 2 weeks later for 1,400, 1,500, and they go away laughing. What's the point of that? It's better to have some stability that you can sustain. Keep it between 1,300 and 1,400, which looks to be the natural equilibrium band today. Keep it there for a while. Build up your reserves. Let confidence come back. And also stop doing things that frighten investors, like throwing 90 billion at the Hajj and all these funny things and buying luxury SUVs and so on. Show some seriousness. Eventually, confidence will come back. Perhaps we will then move after the reserves start rising. We will not be able to move from that 1,300, 1,400 Naira per dollar. I don't believe for 1 second, and you can go to me, you can abuse me. I don't believe for 1 second that the Naira is undervalued at 1,300 to a dollar or 1,400 to a dollar. People don't seem to understand the sheer quantum of Naira that was created by an irresponsible government, previous one that we're suffering from now. So there's a huge Naira overhang chasing scarce dollars. And so it's futile to try and appreciate the Naira in a hurry. It's not going to work. So let's bite the bullet, start doing all the right things. The journey back is a slow and painful one. It's a journey of 1,000 miles. Take each correct step every day and stop this gymnastics of doing 5 things right and doing 2 things wrong thereafter.
Now, wow, federal government, they will not stop amazing people. They will not stop. This is a shock on Nigerians again. Can you now see the reason why people will never stop talking about this government? You see why they said this government is a setback to Nigerians? You see why they said this is a misplaced priorities that government is doing? You see why the economist says Nigeria is on the red, not green? You see why you are not expecting anything good from this government anytime soon? Okay, agree that they said Buhari left huge debt for this government. Now Tinubu came to rectify, to correct those problems. Right? That's why he's facing this problem. Now, to start with, if Buhari left huge debt for this government, you came to correct those mistakes, isn't it? How do you correct those mistakes? Is it not by reducing or stopping some things that Buhari had done in the past that does not yield any good for Nigerians? Now, in the midst of all this, Nigerians are complaining. Nigerians are going through a lot. There is problem, there is hardship. You say you don't have money to pay workers. minimum wage, labor union, TUC, they are there on their own. You came out to say you don't have money to pay. You can only afford to pay 48,000 naira monthly. I know that one is continuously, not the money you're going to pay once. Now, this year, in the midst of all this, you want to use 90 billion naira, 90 billion to subsidize pilgrimage. People who want to go to Saudi to pray to God, to answer prayers that government should do. What are those prayers that they want to go and pray, seek the faces of God for? Is basically, if they will analyze, they will tell us that they want to pray that this country should get better, insecurity to stop, that Nigeria should have electricity, Nigeria should have roads, roads, infrastructural amenities, Nigeria should have a stable economy. Those are the things they want to go and play about, isn't it? They are not going to play for to intercede for other countries. They're basically going to play for Nigerians to get better. How would you live? How would you get better when you live what you're supposed to have done? Remember, this God is everywhere. You must not go to Saudi or Jerusalem before God answers your prayers, isn't it? Now you want to throw away 90 billion naira for those who want to go to Saudi, and who are you giving that money to? Are those people who are already in government, who are stealing government money, who are living fine, who are not, okay, let's say middle, they're not even middle class. If you want middle class and upper middle class, people who are doing well already, who have money to feed themselves, are these people you still want to give 90 billion to go to Saudi for pilgrimage? Can you now say this government is just a waste of time, that they are not serious? That's for the Muslim. Now, let's say Christian will come up. You also want to subsidize them. Can you imagine? So where is the hope? Think about it. What if you come out to say, because of all these problems going on here and there, okay, we know government should subsidize this trip to Saudi, but this year government do not have money to do that too. If you want to go on your own. What if you do that? See, if you want to go, government do not have money this year to subsidize. Go on your own. If you can't go on your own, stay at home and play. And these people you are giving money to, it's not even as if you are subsidizing, giving this money to the poor, to the less privileged, to feed themselves, or even to go to the Saudi. These people are in government. They have money already. You are giving them 90 billion naira to go. Can you imagine? It's not done elsewhere. You say you want to correct this system that has been corrupted, system Buhari administration that does not. It was a problem to Nigerians. It left a huge debt. You want to correct that, and you are here now. True, I mean, giving people who do not need your money again to go. This is misplaced priority. Government who do not have direction, government who do not know what they are doing, government who do not care about the citizens, who do not care about his people, who do not even see the suffering in the land as anything because it does not affect them. This is the problem. So for me, this pilgrimage 90 billion naira, we don't even need it this year. We don't need it. We're talking about reducing the cost of government. You are throwing 90 billion away. Labor union are there. You say you don't have money to pay them. And if you can, this 90 billion naira now, keep it somewhere. Use it to pay these people this year. Is it not enough? Remember, you do this year, next year you are going to do the same thing. Next year, maybe next year, because we said we don't have money this year, that's why you are budgeting 90 billion for them. Maybe next year, if things gets better, maybe you will award 100 billion naira for them. This is just a waste of time. This is a setback to Nigerians. It's not happening anyway. Anyways, what can you do about it? Please share this video and please subscribe to this YouTube channel.